Hi everybody, Alex Deploy here from Expert Forex, and I often get asked the question, which is the best currency to trade for this particular EA or this particular Forex trading system? And in this video, I'm going to give you lots of ideas and show you lots of tools that you can use to make that decision. Now, one of the first tools that is very popular is the Atr Indicator. It stands for the average to range. And what that indicator tells you is on average, how many pips does that particular currency range by in a certain time frame. And the time frame could be 4 hours, one daily, weekly, monthly, whichever way you want to measure it. And on your screen, you can see that in place where, let's take the first item, the pound New Zealand. It varies on average 74 pips, on a daily basis 168, weekly 349, and then on a monthly basis 738. Opposed to the one right at the bottom, which you can see is almost a third, if not less, than that particular currency, which is the New Zealand franc, which is 21 pips, 55 pips, 111 pips compared to the 349, and then 245 compared. So that shows you that the pound New Zealand is way more volatile than the New Zealand franc. So that's one of the first factors that you look at, is volatility of a currency plays a big role, and I'm going to explain how what role volatility plays. But before we get there, and by the way, this information comes from the 360-degree market view indicator that we have. It runs as an EA, and I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail later, but it provides amazing information regarding currencies. Now, there's a big difference between volatility and trendiness. And trendiness is a word that I made up. And I'm going to show you a few examples to make you appreciate the difference. So let's take a currency that trades on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and those are what those blocks indicate, and it is trading a range of 50 pips every day. So it's 50 pips every day. But because it's going sideways, the range for the week is also 50 pips. That's the daily range each day, and the range is also 50 pips. So we would say the daily range is 50 pips, but then we'd say, what is the trending ratio of this currency? So we'd say, okay, the weekly range is 50. The daily range is 50. You divide the two into, and you get 1. So the trending ratio for this particular currency would be 1. And by the way, I've made all of this up because that's the way I trade. I don't know, I'm not quite sure if other people trade this way, but this is the way I trade. I say, what is a currency's trending ratio? And I'll explain why that is very important. So we then look at another currency, and this currency is exactly the same as the other one. It's got a 50 pip daily range, but it actually trends. So the next day it goes up, next day it goes up, next day it goes up, and next day it goes up. So its daily range is still 50 pips. But the trending ratio has now changed, because we say on a weekly basis, it has actually ranged 250 pips. So the ratio is 250 pips divided by 50 pips, and now we have a 5 trending ratio, which means that this currency is 5 times more trendy than the other currency. And that's why this ratio is so important. Now let's have a look at that in a little bit more detail. So when you have a currency that has a low trendiness ratio, you want to use sideways trading, forex trading techniques, or forex trading robots. You want to just bounce off those that range all the time. You want to sell the highs and you want to buy the lows, and that's the way you trade. And that is why Some people buy robots and they plug them into the wrong currency. If you have a trending robot and you plug it into there, you're going to lose money. If you have a sideways robot and you plug it into there, you're going to make money. If you trade a manual technique that uses sideways trading approach, then you're going to make money. That's why this trendiness ratio is so important. Now, if you have a trending profile, a high trendiness ratio, then you use breakout techniques and you use trending techniques and trending robots to trade that particular currency. Now you can see if you were to trade a sideways technique or sideways robot, you would lose tremendous amounts of money. On the other hand, if you were using a trending robot, you would make considerable. So for low trendiness ratios in terms of our robots, you would use something like the grid trend multiplier using a multi-direction approach, or the Dream Machine, or a tradable RSI, or MACD EA, or the RSI envelope trader. They are all retracement type of EAs, and they like sideways markets. Again, we're coming to the importance of selecting the right currencies. Then if you look at this kind of profile, you want to use something like the Make Money, and that's why the Make Money has made tremendous money in the last 3 to 4 months, because the pound has been trending tremendously, trending downwards. And that was the most appropriate EA to use in this high trending market. So you would use the Make Money EA, you'd use the double in a day EA, because that's exactly, you enter there and you exit there and you've doubled your account. You enter there, you exit there, you doubled your account. And you use the Magic MA, because the MA, the moving averages will all be pointing up, and you can trade from day to day using the Magic Moving Average EA. So again, I'm trying to show you the importance of matching the Forex trading robot or Forex trading technique with the profile of the currency that you intend trading. Now, there's another aspect to this trendiness. You can see that some currencies trend in a big way, so their daily range is high and their weekly ranges are high, and others have a smaller daily ranges and smaller weekly ranges. So you also have volatility within trendiness. So if you want to make a lot of money, you've got to find the currencies that have high trendiness values but also high daily range values. These will not supply as much money as the ones on this side. And the same thing with sideways markets. You don't want to trade these small guys that just vibrate within the day. You want to trade ones that are actually moving quite nicely during the day. So just knowing sideways currencies and knowing trending is not enough. You also have to classify them into whether they are strongly trending or strongly trading sideways. Now, I have an EA that I've been using for a long time. We did show it a while ago, and a lot of people did not show much enthusiasm in this particular EA, so it was never published as a product. But I've been using it because it supplies amazing information. So what I do is I measure the daily ATR, the weekly ATR, and the monthly ATR of a certain currency, and I would then divide the weekly, as I've shown you before, by the daily and get a value, and also the monthly and get a value. And that will tell me which are the trendiest currencies in the market. As simple as that. And it'll also tell me which ones to stay away from. For instance, there we have the most untrendy currencies that there are. You can see the values are low compared to the high trendiness values. So this is a wonderful EA. Please give me feedback. If you guys want this one, we will publish it as a product, but there has been no interest in this particular one. Either people think it's too complicated, or they don't appreciate the need to be able to select currencies for the appropriate EAs. Just a little bit more on the 360-degree market view EA, you can see it provides unbelievably good information. And in this case, I'm only looking at 3 currencies here, but you can look at up to 30 or 40 currencies if you like, and you can look at them from an RSI perspective, from a CCI perspective, from a MACD, from a moving average perspective, from an ADX, from a stochastic perspective, from a Bollinger Band perspective, and from an ATR perspective. And that is the one that we looked at earlier, where the ATR supplies the volatility of a particular currency within a certain time frame. This tool is absolutely amazing for those kind of things. And furthermore, it tells you which are the losing and the gaining currencies on a tick-by-tick basis. So it updates quite regularly. And for instance, you can see on a 1 month basis, the pound has lost 1,000 pips compared to those other 4 currencies that we're monitoring. And the yen has gained 1,400 pips. And then if you look down here, you can see see who the pound has lost pips to, and you can just look over there, and you can see who the yen has gained pips against. So this is a very good, and that's why we call it a 360 degree. You can look at all the currencies from so many different perspectives, and this is the first tool really that I want to show you. And also, the more you know about currencies, the more you know about their characteristics and what they're up to and what they're doing at the moment, the more you can make a decision on which currency to use. So if you're using sideways currencies, you want to find the most sideways currency that you can find, and if you're using trending currencies, you want to use the most volatile trending currency that you can find. Now, here's a very old-fashioned way, and an old-fashioned tool is you just put all the currencies that you are considering onto your chart, onto your charts as a profile, and there it is. And you just visually look and you say, which are the trending currencies? And you can clearly see the New Zealand yen is trending downwards, and the euro yen is trading downwards, and the New Zealand yen is trading down. So you use a visual way of finding currencies that are trending. You also can see that some of the currencies are going sideways. There we go. There's some sideways currencies. There's a very sideways currency, and you can then visually see which currencies are trending and which ones are going sideways. Also, there's a big trick to looking at these things on the charts because of the calibration. Sometimes you try and compare a trend like this, which is a 520 pip trend, to a trend like that, and you think they're equal to each other, but they're not, because this one has moved 1,100 pips, this one's only worth. So that's why I have these numbers in, to make sure that I can relate the currencies to each other. For instance, this might look like a sideways, but that in fact is also a sideways, but it's only moving 240, and that one's moving 560. So maybe that's a more sideways currency than that one, because it's moved less than that one. So that's why this approach, with the number of pips shown in on your chart, makes a very useful tool. And by the way, these numbers can be automated. I have manually entered them here, but they can be automated. But certainly we don't do that, because we use other approaches, which I'll show you pretty soon. Now, here's another tool that I use quite a lot on the currencies, and it supplies amazing information, because, for instance, it tells you the volatility of a currency within the day of the week. So, we look at this particular one. Look, the Mondays or Fridays are dead in respect of this particular currency, but the Wednesdays appear to be the really strong ones. And we look at the bottom here for the Oz. Again, now here you get a different profile. The Monday is quite a big volatile mover, and then the Wednesdays not so much. So suddenly you realize, you get a feel, oh, I should, if I'm trading If I'm trading breakouts or trending moves, I shouldn't be trading the Oz on a Wednesday. If I'm trading breakout and trending moves, I should be trading the pound New Zealand on a Wednesday. And so on and so on. And also, this particular one gives you the weekend gap, the average weekend gap that happens over a particular period. And you can actually set that period. You can look for the last 3 weeks or last 10 weeks or the last 20 weeks. You just determine what you want to look at, and this particular EA will go and find that information for you. Again, another EA that nobody's really been interested in. And please make comments. I'm happy to supply it to you, but there doesn't seem to be anybody that's interested in these fantastic tools. And here's another fantastic tool that I use to evaluate how much value for money I'm getting from a particular currency relative to its spread. So for instance, here we've got the ATR, we've got the spread, we've got the value of the spread, so you multiply that to get the value of the spread. And then what it says here is that how many pips are you buying for every dollar that you're spending on the spread? That's what that ratio actually says, and this is what I look at. And I say, oh, my best value for money that I am getting in the market at the moment is on the US yen, because I'm getting 10 pips of volatility for every dollar of spread that I'm spending. Now, this might sound Chinese to you, but that's quite useful information. And here on the CAD franc, it says that I'm only getting one unit of volatility for every dollar that I'm spending on the spread. So the spread's high. You can see the spread's a lot higher there. So the value, so if you multiply the spread in pips times the value, that's $50, and you are getting only 50 pips of volatility a day. You are getting only one bit of volatility for every dollar that you're spending. Total waste of time trading those kind of currencies. You can make a fortune with this kind of information. But look, it is advanced stuff. A lot of people have never seen this kind of thing being used, and that's not my fault. It's also the industry just isn't at that level where it's teaching people to use this kind of information to stop them from burning their fingers. They might see the greatest setup in the world on the CAD franc. They will blindly go and trade it, and they would ignore the fact that their spread value is not giving them value for their trading. Now, there's lots more that I can show you, but I think I've given you some ideas on how you can start deciding what is the very best currency to trade for your particular technique or your particular EA that will give you the best value for money, the best chance of success, and volatility at the level that you need it to be. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section of this YouTube video, and I hope I've given you something to think about in this video. From me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.